welcome to Tye Sturgeon's Highway Horses, first of all. I'm Tye Sturgeon, and trying to think of a story to tell y'all. I've been on the road for around 3 years. I'm going to start doing, just posting some of my stories here and there. A lot of them have to do with just surviving, not just me, a horse too. My first trip, which classifies me as a long rider, it was 1,400 miles. I went from Batesville, Arkansas to Iowa. I don't remember what town I stopped in, but you know how it goes. On that trip, there was a lot of long stretches that we had to go, and I might go 2 to 3 days without, I seen people, but it was just in cars. It would just be like, oh my gosh, am I ever going to get to a town? And some days I remember just turning my horse out and giving him a whole day off because I pushed him the day before, and he would have all that green grass to eat. These cowboys, a lot of cowboys nowadays, they say, man, back in the old days, they used to go 30, 40 miles at a time. Back in the old days, they couldn't get 30, 40 miles at a time in Arkansas or Missouri. And the reason why is because look at all the brush there is. Look at how thick everything is. Look at how many mountains there was to climb. There wasn't no road to ride next to like there is for me now. Like Lonesome Dove, okay? Lonesome Dove. That was one of the biggest inspirations for the American Wish Ride, for me, whenever I was growing up. I got a lot of respect for Robert Duvall. He did that part perfect. And Woodrow, I act like Woodrow most of the time. I get aggravated about a lot of stuff. But, anyway, we're going to get back to the story. Okay. So I remember, eating berries. I didn't know. I knew stuff whenever I left, but I didn't know it all. So, whenever I was I've been thinking, we paused it so I could think of a story. Alright, so Hannah, behind the camera there, she says, what about the one in Illinois with the tornadoes? Well, you're fixing to hear about it. So I wake up from camp. It'd been a day or two, but I could see, at nighttime, I could see in the horizon, I could see a light, right after dark, you could see the glow of a town. Well, whenever you get kind of close to Chicago, you can really, it's always kind of a haze of light over there. It never really gets dark by Chicago. But, it does where you're at, but, you can always see kind of a haze. Anyway, I'm sitting there and, I have a solar panel charger for my phone, so at night, I'd have service and I could see, on Google Map or whatever where the town was, and I was heading to it. Boy, I was excited. Well, stupid me, I didn't think to look at the weather. Well, I've learned from my mistakes. Anyway, I'm riding the next day, and it'd been kind of raining on and off, but it was hot, and then it'd get cool, and then it'd get hot, and then it'd get cool. Well, about it wasn't even 5 miles. It was, I could see it, so it was probably 1.5 miles, 2 miles from me. I see this funnel cloud, and it had just hit the ground. It was at a farm, though, so there was nobody around. Well, it had hailed on me probably 15-20 minutes before that, or 5-10 minutes, I don't know. I don't remember exactly, but I remember it hailing on me. And I'm not talking about little bitty hail. And I remember now, I'm riding a horse cross country. So it's just me, a horse, and saddlebags. There wasn't no throw him in the horse trailer, get out of the, hail. And I'm talking about, I opened him up while it's hailing. I'm talking about horse running hard as he could. We found a tree. One tree. Don't get under a tree in a thunderstorm. Well, if it's hailing, you get under a tree, okay? Anyway, so I'm holding him, and I mean, me and him, like, I've got a cowboy hat on. He don't have anything on, but he knows that I could put my jacket over him, and, he basically I lower his head, and, he's good with it. The rest of his body's getting hit by hail, and so is mine, but our head's on. So, we wait there about 10-15 minutes. Everything seems to clear up, and we head back out. And I do not remember the name of this town. I just know it was probably about 150 miles from Chicago, 200 maybe. It's about an hour away from Chicago. And I remember looking up, and I seen that tornado. And we just left the tree, and I'm talking about everything looked fine, but the clouds were still there. But it wasn't raining no more. And I remember looking up to the right, and I could see a tornado. I mean, I could see it, like visually see it. And it sounded, everybody says it sounds like a train. Well, it sounds a little bit like a train, but it's like you're in the motor of the train, I was like, oh my gosh, the ground is shaking. I'm thinking, oh, Jesus, God, help us all, There's corn going, like, past me, like, shooting past me. You know what I'm talking about? Like the big old 7-8 foot stacks of corn that's in Illinois. If you've ever been to Illinois, you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, finally, it goes on past us. But before it goes on past us, let me tell you how we got away from this tornado. So I'm looking, and I'm already trotting him because he's just as scared as I am. I see this, oh boy, he's got like an airstrip out there and a hanger, an air hanger. And I'm talking about, like planes, planes are inside. He works on planes. So I see this, and it's about the same distance from me as the tornado is. About a mile, or a little bit over. I open Edward up, and I'm talking about really open him up. His nostrils was probably as big as round as my fist. I mean, you can see how big my fist is whenever I got him there. But we slid into that old boy, and that old boy didn't know what to think, seeing a cowboy on a horse. I think his name was Chad or something like that. He worked on airplanes for a living. But he worked for the guy, privately. The guy had 4 or 5 planes. But anyway, I slid into one of his hangars. And they're all out there, they're standing in the doorway there. They're looking at this tornado thinking, oh my gosh, they're all videoing it and everything. Anyway, they didn't even realize the horse was wide open coming at them, Anyway, I slide in and I stay there, till it all clears up. And once it cleared up, boy, I headed into town. And I remember staying at that fairgrounds, thinking, oh gosh, I hope I don't get wiped out by a daggum tornado. But you know what's funny? The Weather Channel said, oh, there's a tornado in the area. Nobody was hurt by that tornado except for that farm, the 4 or 5 farmers that tornado touched down and wiped the corn out. I'm talking about, it did some damage to their crops, but the gist of the story is God's always looking out for us. He's took care of me my whole life, especially on this trip. He's shown me things, and I've done things and tried things that should have killed me, but I ate, the berry that wasn't poisonous right next to the berry that was poisonous. I didn't know the difference. Now I do. God bless y'all and keep riding.